The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is just before noon here on the East Coast. Well, not really on the East Coast. I mean, I'm on like the coast of Lake Erie. I mean, I'm pretty close to that, but I'm on the east side of the United States in the Eastern time frame in Ohio, so welcome. The class will begin in just a few minutes, but I want to thank everybody for being here early and being excited and getting ready to go. My name is Ron Wheeler, and it's going to be a great webinar. I'm really excited to share these income trading secrets with you, so hopefully you're excited to be here as well. The reason, by the way, I start the session just a couple minutes early is because I want to make sure all the tech stuff is working. So do me a favor. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen, it says the options Paycheck on it, do me a favor. Type yes in the chat box. And then also, in addition to typing yes, tell me where you're from. I'm kind of curious to see where you're all signing in from. Like I said, I'm in Ohio. My two colleagues here with me, Brian and John, who are going to be answering questions in the background, and you'll hear from Brian later on. They're down in North Carolina at our head office, so we have a little office here in Ohio as well. So I'm always kind of curious to see where we're all from. All right, let me get the question box so I can actually see you guys. All right. Hi, Jay from Cleveland. Jay, you're good people. All right. I see Robert and Michael. Welcome to you guys. Robert in Sarasota. Banning, California, John. Welcome. It's really early in the morning for you. New Jersey, welcome. Michael again. Edward from Phoenix. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. If I pronounced that right, I'm sorry if I didn't. Tiff, welcome to you. In Toronto, Mike. William from Tucson and Kevin from Houston. Mary Jane, Phoenix, welcome for you. Sam, welcome from Green Bay and Ocala, Florida. Richard, I see you. Brian from North Dakota, awesome. Like I said, it's always kind of nice to see where people are from and kind of get an idea where we're broadcasting to. I used to do these in person a long time ago. And it's, flying to different cities is great. But, when you do these on the web, it's so nice because you can broadcast anywhere. Rafa from Mexico City, welcome to you. In the UK, Aurelia, welcome. Anthony, welcome from Spain. I think you're the winner so far of the longest from me. Winnipeg, Chuck, good to see you. Massachusetts, Gerald, I might miss a few along the lines. Indrajit and Dylan, welcome from Toronto. Saskatoon, Barry, it's good to have you with us. Florida, Jeffrey, welcome to you. And then Ron from Boston, welcome to you. It's been a long time since I've been to Boston. Robert, Michigan, welcome. I lived in Michigan for a while. I had a couple of years up there. Raza, you're also from Michigan. I lived in the Gull Lake, Richland, right outside of Kalamazoo area for about a year and a half. Saskatoon from Grown Ups, yep. Dennis from Vegas, welcome. It's been a long time since I've been to Vegas. I used to go there like 10 times a year, but now I'm married and have kids, so I'm kind of boring. So what are you going to do, right? Good to see you. Snyder, welcome to you as well. Barcelona. Welcome, Marcelo. Good to have you with us. All right, excellent. So good to see everybody. Looks like we got a good broadcast. I haven't seen anybody from Australia yet. You guys are all probably, still sleeping out there. Or actually, in Australia, I think it would be like late evening almost, if I'm not mistaken. It'd be like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. It might be even later than that. So sometimes the folks from Australia kind of join us at a different time. Mike from Toronto, welcome to you as well. All right. Well, it looks like it's just about time to get started. So give me a couple seconds here to make sure everything is in order so we can go. All right, let's officially get started. Welcome to, again, today's webinar. It's called the Options Paycheck. In today's webinar, I'll be showing you that breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest that helps you generate safe monthly income in any type of market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed my life, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people, so I hope you're excited about it as well. In fact, my promise to you today is this. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging $3,000 or more per month. Now, this figure is based on the fact that most of our clients are generating on average 3% per month on our most basic income strategy. So think of that as the goal, 3% per month. So however much money you have to invest, the goal is 3% per month. Now keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience. It's safer than simply buying and selling stocks. And here's the key. You can make money and do this even if your analysis is wrong. Now, I know 3% per month may sound too good to be true, but the truth is a lot of our clients are doing even better than this. So in today's webinar, I will show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns, case studies, examples of our clients who are doing this month in and month out. And I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategy, you can do the same. And I'm also going to prove to you that our options paycheck system will get better returns safely than simply trading stocks or options alone. Now, I want to read an email, or actually a post on our Facebook site from Bobby. Bobby sent us this nice email or this nice post on Facebook, and I want to kind of highlight into it. He said, couldn't help but notice on today's webinar a general angst with the system. You know, systems go up and down, and a lot of our trades at that time were kind of stalling a little bit. And he said, I wanted to post this as encouragement, and for what it's worth, genuine thanks to Ron Wheeler. I couldn't be more happy with the system and the results charted below since I first took the Paycheck course over a year ago. They're probably not all that impressive in their own right. I disagree. Approximately 20% gain on an initial $150,000 portfolio, 88% win rate on 174 trades, and certainly not boastworthy. I disagree. But take this into account, and here's the cool part. I've managed to pull this off while working 80 plus hours a week, keeping a 10 franchise learning center business from collapsing due to COVID, trading on less than 30% the size of positions he should be based on portfolio size. So he was kind of trading a smaller amount than he could have, and keeping a couple of young teens on track. I know there are many other far better success stories scattered throughout the page, and maybe my challenges aren't really any different than most of yours. They're pretty heavy, I'll give him that. Still, I hope this will encourage some who might be feeling doubt. For me, it's just been fantastic, all the wins and losses, and I can't wait to get out from the day-to-day of my business in order to be able to do Paycheck and other VectorVest strategies more full-time and make some really serious income, even if I just really suck at this and keep sucking as bad as this past year. He's not. He's being a little sarcastic there. With a total portfolio being a few multiples of 150, it should be possible. Absolutely. So anyway, Ron, thank you for the best $900 I've ever spent, current market included. And thank you to all the regulars in this group who keep on keeping on. Even if I ever learn enough to be half as market trading savvy as you all seem to be, I can't even imagine. And what you see here is really some beautiful stuff, right? This is the idea of how a good trading approach works. You're going to have your areas where you're making money. You're going to have some drawdowns. I mean, look, from August to October, he actually didn't make any money. That happens. He actually lost a little bit of money. That's a little bit of drawdown. But then he made a nice little run, had a little bit of drawdown in early January, and he even outperformed me the first 6 months of the year. So that's the beauty of it. Now, when I say he outperformed me, I'm not a trade advisory service. He was sourcing and finding these trades on his own, which is beautiful because that's the idea of what I'm going to show you today. Being able to fish, not just, listen to me giving you trading advice. That's the beauty of it. So I thought that was a great post that Bobby had shared with us. Now, what Bobby is doing is what a lot of our clients are doing. They take a look at a graph like this. This happens to be Costco, which I've done very well with Costco over the years, both as a consumer and as a trader. Now, Costco, price is rising, earnings are rising, so it's a good fundamental chart. Everything looks great. If you go out there and buy Costco, though, at that point over the next couple of weeks, it really wasn't that great. The stock actually went down, stalled, and over the course of a couple of weeks, it only went up 1.4%. That's not a big return. But with our options paycheck system, you don't have to be exactly right on direction. Had you placed the simple paycheck trade, that 1.4% stock move resulted in about a 16% gain on your investment in about 12 days. And you can kind of see it right there. Frank posted in our Facebook group, closed that bull put spread on Costco, made $955, posted his chart up there. Now listen, imagine having several of those trades each month. Now, will there be losers? Absolutely there's going to be losers. But the paycheck system over the last decade has averaged over 70% winning trades. And that is what results in that consistent net income. And today I'm going to show you the trade that does just that. So if you're, if learning how to do that sounds great, now would be a great time to turn off your distractions, close your door, turn off your cell phones, close down other windows on your computer. I don't want you to multitask because you might miss a key point here. Stay focused and give this your full attention because you're going to be learning something that can really make a positive impact on the rest of your life. Now, I mentioned earlier, my name is Ron Wheeler. I'm the option income coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for about 24 years. I think I started in June of 97. Now, when I started out for the first couple of years, I had mostly losses. In fact, I blew out 2 of my trading accounts. And the reason I was losing is because, like a lot of investors and traders, I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. If I didn't have the market down and I bought something and the market didn't go in my direction, I lost money. Simple as that. It's like most investors, right? And then the second part of that is once you get good at direction, then you got to start learning risk management. How much money should I risk? Where are my stops? What's my average winning trade? My average losing trade? All that kind of stuff, right? That goes into being a successful trader. It's why a lot of people fail. It's very difficult to manage both of those parts, right? A big aha moment came to me when one of my clients, who was a hedge fund trader, they were managing like $600 or $700 million at the time, came to visit our office. And he said he showed me the secrets to how he and a lot of those hedge fund guys make money. Now, long story short, he showed me the inside secret to using options. So even if I'm wrong with my analysis, I could still make money. He actually gave me a really good example. He said, Ron, let's both look at, in that case, we looked at a commodity at the time, corn. I think corn is going to go up. Now, we don't do this on futures or commodities, but this was made back in 10, 15 years ago for me. You think it's going to go up, right? So you're going to buy corn futures. He's like, I'm going to sell options on that. Now, when you're getting stopped out of your trade because you're wrong, I'm still making money on my trade. And I thought that was like, wow, I didn't know that was possible, right? I thought options where you just bought a call because they thought the stock was going to go up or the market was going to go up, etc. I didn't know you could actually do all these kind of cool things with options. So that kind of put a light bulb in my head. And think of the pressure that takes off you, right? You don't even have to be right to make money. You don't even have to be right to make money. That was the thing that was so impressionable in my head. So here's what we're going to cover today. The key strategic shift to generate income safely from the market. We're going to talk about how to win even if you're wrong, how to do it with very, very little risk. You're going to learn to avoid the big mistake that most people make and what you need to do to place those low risk trades. In fact, the risk is actually going to be much lower than if you just bought and sold stocks. And I've got it all put together in this bulletproof system that we can use in as little as 15 minutes a day. This is how myself and my clients use to trade to get that minimum of 3% in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, over the last 15 plus years, I've really fine-tuned how this paycheck system works, and I've really made it so anyone can do it. Now, I really want you to stick to the end because we're going to have so many great things to cover, and it's important that you stick to the end to hear everything. So if you stick to the end, I put together a checklist that helps you plan out your trades. It's a PDF. I'll put it right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. I'll drop it right in there. You can simply click on it and print it out today. So do me a favor. When we get to the Q&A section at the end, remind me because a lot of times after an hour I forget. I'm so into what we're doing and I just don't think about it, okay? So make sure you remind me at the end. Now, why is this so important? Understanding why this is important, I'm going to ask you a question. Why do we work in the first place? Now, if you surveyed 100 people and asked them why they go to work in the first place, you might get a bunch of responses like, well, it's a contribution, it's a sense of achievement, well, it gives me purpose in my life. But I guarantee the overwhelming answer to this question would be for the paycheck. The paycheck enables us to live, hopefully pretty well today, and then also put enough money away for the future so we don't have to work anymore. But the hard truth is without a system to help you generate the income you need, you're stuck trading time or your life for money. In other words, without an income system, it's on you. And this creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where you have to work in order to live. And this means we're trading time, in other words, our lives, for money. Now, whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out, that has a huge impact on your life, your health, and even our relationships. So in other words, we can't stop until we have enough, but we don't really know what enough is. So we keep working to get enough, and it becomes like that hamster on the wheel. We're taught to work for some future event called retirement when we can stop working so hard and enjoy ourselves. Now, in my opinion, working to save enough for retirement on its own is not the best approach. It's good, it's part of a good approach, but it's not the best approach on its own. If you're already retired, you may be watching that savings get depleted faster than you can fill it. And if it keeps getting depleted, you fear that you might have to give up and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you're going to run out of money during retirement, or your standard of living will drop and you can't live that lifestyle you want. However, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar, so pay close attention, even write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. And this is why most of us spend the majority of our lives working for a paycheck. However, in order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say this again. In order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover those expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Now, let me be clear on this. I'm not suggesting you take the course and then go quit your day job. But when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working like I am, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have that consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but you're still getting that paycheck. That allows you to do things you want to do now and when you retire. And that's why today's webinar is vitally important. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire sooner. And when you're retired, or even when you're still working, that extra income in the system can help you live a wealthier life without depleting your nest egg. And as I said before, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it one more time. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. In my opinion, learning how to generate income is even more important than how much we earn in our jobs. Why do we work? We work to generate income to live. When can we stop working? When the income from our investments is enough for us to live. And you'd really be surprised at how little you need to get started. Now, for example, Brian's a client of ours, and this is a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing in income from the market, even if you don't have a lot to start with. He had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the Paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits starting with just $6,000. He had achieved 100% winning trades in 10 months. He said 31 of 31 winning trades using our basic system. And the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system, okay? It's the system that helped Brian get 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit. And remember, he started with only $6,000, and he did it in 10 months, and he did it safely. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns is a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Now, being an option seller is the way that you make consistent income each month. It allows you to win even when you're wrong. And the reason you want to be the casino or the house, right? It's that, well, there's two reasons. Number one, well, the house always wins in the end. And number two, the house always wins because it controls and it stacks probability in its favor. And the Paycheck system is exactly the same. It's built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. The house always wins. Now, you might hear stories about, oh my gosh, the sports book took a huge loss. Let me tell you something. They're still making money in the long haul, right? We are stacking probability overwhelmingly in our favor, and the casino stacks it in its favor. So the obvious question, how do we do it? The first step is to shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from gambling on stocks, of being the casino, if you will, to controlling and stacking probability in his favor. No more gambling, now he's turned into the house. Prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock picks from brokers. He focused on our S&P 500 income system, which is our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his account from 100,000 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the Paycheck system. And the whole system, he said, takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's a typical trade that you might have been taught to make. Good example. You find a stock that you like. You think it's going to go up. Let me put my laser pointer on here. You think it's going to go up. There's where the stock is at this picture, at this junction point, right? What do? You either buy shares of it, right? Buy 100 shares. Or a lot of people in the options world, they buy a call. Why do you buy a call? Well, mainly that's what you started learning options for, right? If you think a stock will go up, you buy a call. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Maybe the stock doesn't go up enough, or it doesn't go up at all. Eventually, that option you bought ultimately expires worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Well, that was my first foray in options. What's the problem causing you to lose? Now, most people feel it's maybe they picked the wrong stock. They got to get better at analysis. Or maybe it was just the wrong strike price of the option. They got to learn options better. Or maybe it was the wrong expiration. They got to learn options better. But the real problem, in my opinion, if you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not really your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probability is not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our Paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how we get ahead of everyone else. It's how we put probability on our side. It's how we win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options and see how this works. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping that a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability, and this is a built-in thing of options, probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock to go in your direction, we think that this stock is going to go up, for instance. We can pick a price below the stock and say, as long as it stays above here, I can make money. Now think about that, right? You can now make money if the stock goes up, which is what you thought it was going to do, you win. If it goes sideways, if you would have bought an option, you would have lost money. If you would have bought the stock, you would have broke even. We still make money. If the stock goes down but stays above that price, we can still make money. Whereas you would have lost money if you would have bought the stock or bought the call. Now, if it goes down too far, we will take what I call a proportional loss on the trade. Remember, I did tell you there was going to be some losers here too. Now, right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And in some trades, we can even go further out and create more probability. By moving that price down, what am I doing? I am now giving this trade up to make money, sideways to make money, and as long as we stay above here, this trade now has a 70+% probability to make money. If the stock goes sideways, I'm still in, I make money. If the stock goes down, I still make money. And if it drops below this point, I take a very small proportional loss. You can only do this type of trading as an option seller. So as a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Mike, one of our clients, was someone who dabbled with options, but he said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade you're doing? Eventually, he just gave up on options. He came back to it and he wanted to learn a little bit more, but he said even as he learned more, he never really felt comfortable because he didn't know what he was doing. Yes, he knew all these option terms and things, but he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system, which is all set criteria, that system of being an option seller. He said he immediately became an income machine, turned a switch. After learning the system, after all of that, trouble and not making money, he went out and had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. The key lesson here is when he went from buyer or gambler to seller, he immediately turned his situation around. And he was so proud of his success, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. So here's Mike's results. I want you to notice, number one, all the profits and how little the losses are. And then take a look at the length of days to close the trade. Think about this. He's basically making money every 7 to 11 days. 7, 5, 4, a couple very quick ones, 2, 7. But his average trade duration is about 7 to 11 days. This is not day trading. This is not swing trading. These are trades that typically last about 7 to 10 days. In fact, our most basic system, which just trades the SPX, has averaged over the last 15 years 85% winning. You're placing trades that have a high probability of winning. So think of it like this. Again, instead of being that gambler who loses money, you're going to be the casino where the odds are stacked in your favor on every trade. Now, the key takeaway here is this. What we're looking to do is not hit home runs, right? Home runs always look good, but getting on base, those singles, those doubles, those are what helps you win the game. A solo home run is only one, but a home run with 3 people on base is a grand slam. Those guys that are getting on base, they're what gives the game away, right? They are what takes the win. We are all about hitting singles. We're going to hit for high average, and we're going to get on base a lot, if you want to use a baseball analogy. Now, you've seen by using 2 examples, Brian and then Mike, by flipping from the buyer to the seller, you stack odds significantly in your favor. Now, we're going to stack the odds even more in our favor by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. The mistake that people make, the first one I want to talk about, is they choose option strike prices that are so far away. The stock ultimately has very little chance of hitting it, okay? Let's say somebody is bullish on this stock. A mistake that a lot of option buyers make is they choose strike prices way off into the distance, right? The problem is, in order to really make significant money on this trade, the stock has to go from 216 to 230. It has a very small probability of that occurring. People buy those options because they're very inexpensive. They look and see, oh, that's a $200 stock, but I can buy that option for like $100. It's a very small risk. And they're right, it's a very small risk. But it's basically just like throwing $100 bills in the fire, okay? Because most of the time, they're not going to make any money. They treat options like lottery tickets, and most of the time, they lose, right? Or like if you play the lottery, right? I don't lose every time I play the lottery. I don't play lottery a ton. But, I certainly have never won $250 million, but I've won $2 a lot of times and $3 a lot of times, but I've never been able to make up for the losses, right? That's the gambling mentality. Now, there's always going to be those buyers out there who will buy those options. What we're going to do is we are going to transition to selling them those options. Why? Because they have a low probability of getting hit. And again, when I say hit, that simply just means that the stock is going to go from 216 to 230, right? Since that price has a low probability of getting hit, that means that you have a high probability of winning. Now, again, the same thing goes for puts. Puts are typically done if you think a stock will go down, right? People also buy puts as protection for their stock. They want to make sure that if the stock goes down, they're protected and they can lock in profits on their underlying stock purchases. All right? What people do is they go way below the price of the stock because it's either cheap insurance or they want to get into this thing because they think the stock's going to go down, but they don't want to spend $1,000 to. They want to spend $50, right? Since there's people down there that are buying those options, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. Doesn't matter. Since there's buyers out there, we are going to be the ones that sell it to them. When we sell these options, it gives us a 60 to 90% chance of success. That's from the very start of the trade. Now, the second mistake that people make is when they choose their option expiration. They do it too close to the current date. It's like going to the grocery store and seeing a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it expires in like a day or two. Unless you're going to go home and cook it right away, it's a waste of money. The same is true for options. This is what's called a time decay window, right? What happens to an option with time value is you can see over the course of time, options kind of have a self-destruct mechanism, right? As it gets closer and closer to the day of expiration, the option value starts dropping. Now, when you get into really the final 45 days of the option's life, it becomes an exponential decline. Think about this. This is 6 months from expiration. This is about 45 days to expiration. From 180 to 45 days, the option lost 50% of its value. But in the last 45 days, it lost the remaining 50%. As I said, that decay is exponential. What we're going to do is we are going to choose to sell in that final 45 days. People have a tendency to like to buy options in that 45 days. Why? Because again, the premium starts to decline and they think they're getting this incredible value. Oh my gosh, I can buy this option for $4 when it should have been $200. They're getting an option that is essentially worthless. Okay? They do it again because they're using the lottery ticket mentality. We are going to target that behavior and we are going to start selling options in that window. Okay? I want you to take a look at a graph of Home Depot. Let's say that we think that Home Depot from right here, where my little laser pointer is going to go up. What a lot of options buyers do is they go out and they just pick the expiration that's closest, right? Maybe right here. It's only about 2.5, 3 weeks away. Or maybe they'll say, you know what, I'll give it a little bit more time. And they go out to right here. Maybe 30 to 45 days away. But the problem is, if you put that time decay in place, you can see that even if they're right on direction, the time decay is eating into the premium of that option. Even if the market goes in their favor, that time decay is eating all their profits away. That's a bad thing for the option buyer. But we're going to be the option seller. That time decay works in our favor. Remember, there's always going to be people out there buying those options that have those expiration dates too close. You might as well be the one who sells them that option. Let them be the gambler. You're going to be the casino, right? Because you know the casino always wins in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they pay too much. They buy what's called overpriced options. And this is kind of a hidden one. Not a lot of options buyers consider this. So let me show you what I'm talking about. You have two stocks, all right, at the top here. Doesn't matter what the stocks are, but the key is they're the same price. One is $76.24, one is like $76.36. So within like a 10-cent separation, right? Even though the two stocks are basically the same price, the option premium is vastly different. Over on the left, that call is going to cost you $900. Same expiration, same strike price. Over on the right, and that option only costs you $180. Why are they so different? Well, it's because of the options volatility. Over on the left, that particular stock and that particular option has a lot of volatility, whereas the stock on the right does not. Now, a lot of people look at that and say, well, Ron, who cares? I have $1 million and I can afford a $900 option. It's not about affording the value. It's not about affording it. You can go out there and buy it, that's fine. But it sets you back. And here's how. Let's pretend that both of those stocks go up $8 a share, okay? That means if you bought 100 shares of stock, you'd go make $800 in each of these trades. But like a lot of people, you like to buy options because it's limited risk and, it's a little more leverage. So let's say you bought a $75 call on the trade on the left and one on the right. Here's the results. Over on the left, you actually would have lost money. Over on the right, you made $720. You made almost 400% return on that graph on the right, but yet again on the graph on the left, you actually lost money. Why? Because the buyer of that option on the left paid too much. It had high volatility. The premium was inflated. Why is this important? Because those inflated premiums are ripe for option selling. We're going to search out for those expensive premiums and we are going to sell them to people, because the more money you can sell an option for, the least amount of risk you have. We want those big expensive premiums. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. Prior to working with us, Bob was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he either ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times. And in his own words, he said he came to live close to living under a bridge. The Paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies that can help control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Now remember, in order to do this, in order to control your returns and results, you need to learn how to control and stack probability in your favor. So I want you guys to find that chat box with you again, right? Do me a favor, in the chat box, let me know, have you made any of these buyer's mistakes? Do me a favor, type yes or no in the chat box. I'm kind of curious. All right, I'm starting to see a lot of yeses come in there. Robert, Jay, Theo, James, Dan, Raza, Rebecca, Gerald, Tiff, Roy, Jeff, and Edward, and Pauline, Dan, Stephanie. Yep, I hear you, man. I made the same mistakes too, by the way. That's how I know those are buyer's mistakes. So the bottom line is most people have. It's not our fault. We were taught a broken system. So now that you know you want to be an option seller, let's take a look at how to trade with very little risk. When a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's risky, right? However, the options Paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach to our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk in this so important? Most people who don't use the Paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one trade and it can wipe out gains from a bunch of winners. We don't do that. That's one of the most easy things to avoid because you just don't take trades where that's possible. Because when you have that one killer trade that wipes out all your winners, it becomes very hard to recover your losses. It takes a long time. When you do this, you have to have a built-in protection system. You've got to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. And that's all in the system. When you can confidently select your stocks, set up your trades in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, home runs look good, right? But it's those singles, the guys getting on base, that's what wins the games. Now, one of the most common questions we get asked is, can I trade this from an IRA? A client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our Paycheck system. He said he tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed an 85% winning trade rate, and he said he doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the Paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you see here. Then, instead of selling naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do that. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. The options Paycheck system shrinks your risk to this. Remember earlier I told you, we do not have that one bad trade that wipes out all of our winners, mainly because we would never take a trade that would do that. We know that up front. So let's show how this works. Again, graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph. It's understandable why you want to be bullish on this thing, right? Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock here. Maybe they even buy a call, all right? But remember, you're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. You're going to do this. You're going to sell a put down here that has at least a 40% chance of losing. So that means this. If you sell a put that has a 40% chance of getting hit, that means that you have a base 60% chance of success. Okay? When you sell that put, you're going to receive a premium. In this case, we're going to collect $200 for every option contract we sell. If we sell 10 contracts, we would receive $2,000. Now that's great, right? The downside is you have no protection if the stock drops. If this thing drops to $100 a share, you're going to lose a ton of money. So we have to have a built-in protection plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of that premium that we collected, and we are going to buy a put lower than the put that we sold. All right? Now, what that does is it reduces your risk only to this. By buying that put, it cost me $100. All right? I sold a put for $200. I bought a put for $100. That means that I get paid $100 to place this trade. It's a credit spread. If I did this on 10 contracts, I would collect $1,000. Now remember, ultimately, here's the goal of this, right? We think that the stock is going to move up. If it moves up, we make money. If it moves sideways, we will still make money. And as long as it stays above 135, we will still make money. If the stock drops below 135, that's basically our stop price. We will exit our trade with a very small proportional loss. We will not take huge losses. We don't take trades that have huge losses. Those are all filtered out in the setup. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to use a few examples of some trades I did with my clients in the past to help you understand how to set these up. So make sure you're paying attention for this because I'm going to be showing you some numbers, so you definitely need to be paying attention. What we're going to do is we are going to get into the seller's mindset. This is Goldman Sachs. It was a great stock at the time. It was in an uptrend, so we were bullish on it. At the time we placed the trade, Goldman Sachs was trading for about $311. Where do you think, now this is where you got to chime in on the chat window, right? What I need to do is pick a price underneath Goldman Sachs, all right? I think that Goldman Sachs is going to go up, but it's going to stay above $270 a share. If I chose that, for instance, let me show you this real quick. If I chose $270 a share, that means I'll make money if the stock goes up, sideways, or if it stays above $270 a share. Now, that looks really good, right? It looks really, really good. Here's the problem. You have to be realistic, all right? Remember how I told you that we don't want to take big losses? This was what happens when you go too far away from the stock price. Yeah, I can look at that trade and say, oh my gosh, I should win on that trade. If I sell a 270, I might win 95% of my trades. Every winning trade, I make $100. But on a losing trade, I lose $4,000, right? That doesn't look very good. 95%, you'll lose $4,000 on the one loser you might have. That's going to wipe out all of your gains. All right, that's not good. So what we have to do is manage probability. So while that option down there may give us a 95% chance of winning, it has a terrible reward to risk ratio. All right. Whereas if I go to maybe 290, that may drop my winning percent down to 70%. All right. I'm going to win 70% of the time, but my gain might be 250 and my loss might only be $400. Okay. Or if I go up here to like 300, I might only win 60% of the time, but when I win, I'm going to win 400, and when I lose, I'm only going to lose 300. Okay? So you have to be realistic in your expectations and in your probability, right? So kind of using this mentality as a guide, and again, this is profit over here, and this is risk, okay? Give me some ideas. Where do you think that this trade could be placed that kind of gives us that perfect balance of probability and risk and reward? Remember, the stock's at 310, so start thinking underneath the stock price to get an idea of where you want to be. All right, Dan, you were first. $300. Ed, you mentioned 285. Bo, you mentioned 295. 295. Theo. 300 for Murrah, Dan at 295, 295 Juan, Gerald at 290, Michael at 290, 250 Robert, 295, 295 former Resistance James, 295, 280. All right, so here's what the idea is here, okay? When I actually did this trade, I did it at $300. Why 300? Because again, that was that perfect balance of risk and reward and probability. All right. So what happened in this trade? Guess what? The stock continued to move up just like we thought it would. And I made on that trade $390 in 8 days. That was a 9% return on my investment. And the stock only went up about 4%. In fact, just so you see it, here's my trading statement, right? On February 16, 21, I did that trade and I received $1.57 or $157 on, I think I did 6 or 7 contracts if I remember. And then on February 24th, I exited the trade at 79 cents. Now, as a credit spread trader, as an option seller, you have to get used to this, right? If you're a buyer, my goal would be to get in at 79 cents and you get out at $1.57, right? That's if you're a buyer. I'm a seller. So my goal is to get in for a higher price, $1.57, and then exit at a lower price, in this case, 79 cents. That means I made on that trade $390 in 8 days, okay? That's the idea of being an option seller. Now, this is another example. This is Tesla, all right? Tesla's in a very nice uptrend. And again, we don't just look at the last couple of days on Tesla, right? We look at over the last year on Tesla to make sure the stock is moving up. Same with Goldman Sachs, even though I had that chart a little bit abbreviated for you. Same idea of Tesla. It's in a nice uptrend. It just broke through a major high. Let's zoom in here. All right. Stock is moving up. Currently, it's at about $525 a share. And we're going to use that same approach to being an option seller. I want to choose a price somewhere below the current price of the stock, remembering that the farther I go down, the higher the risk, okay? All right? The higher the risk and the lower the reward. If I went down here and said, oh, I'm just going to choose $400. Okay, great. I've got a trade that might make $50, but it loses $1,000 every time I lose. That's one of those trades that wipes out all of your gains. Whereas if I choose maybe a price here, I can say on a winner I'll make $500, but on a loser I only may lose $250. So remember, you got to keep it realistic. So I want you to think about that idea. Now again, I'm not trying to, I don't want you guys to think that you should know exactly how we're picking these options at this point. I just want you to get into the seller's mentality, understanding a little bit of how we choose the option to sell. So what do you guys think? 525, what do you think for a good price on this guy? All right, 485, 480, 450, 475, 475, 485, the previous support level. That's not a bad thinking right about there. $495, $500 is pretty close, but still wouldn't be too bad. $505, $500, $505, $515 Pauline, Robert, $500, $475 Marianne, $500 Sharish. All right, so here's where the trade was actually taken. I did this trade at $485. A couple of you guys mentioned that, right? Also was a little bit under support right there, kind of like some of you pointed out. $485 and $480. Now what happened, this trade actually happened really, really quick. In 2 days, it was a 36% return on my investment, and the stock only rose 7.3%. Now, when I say it's a 36% return on my investment, that basically means this. If I have to put up $1,000 in margin to place this trade, I just made $360. Now, that $1,000 is not my risk, by the way. That's just what I have to put up to place the trade. And again, you can kind of see this inside of my Thinkorswim application. On 11/23, I did 8 contracts of Tesla. I brought in $195 in premium. On November 25th, I exited at 85 cents in premium. And when you add all that up, it was $880 in 2 days. Okay? Now, another client I worked with was Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he didn't feel very satisfied with them. He kept thinking there must be something else out there that was better. You ever feel that way? There's something more out there. Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing, but it would provide him more of a regular income and had a high probability of success. Now, after learning the system of being an option seller, he told me that he went out and had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months, and his average trade only lasted 8 days. That's pretty consistent, by the way. 7 to 10 days is our average run. Can you imagine how that must feel to go from being inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? Now, I want you guys to think. That was Jim. What about you? Think back to Brian, who took $6,000 and made 23 grand in 10 or 11 months? Mike, who immediately became an income trader, right? Jim. What would an income system like this allow you to do? How would you generating this income affect your life? What could it open the doors to? Give me some examples in the chat window. What would a good income system like this allow you to do in your life? Taking a drink of water real quick here. Well, coffee to be fair. More travel, James says. Robert, it's life-changing. Donate more, James. By the way, James Bruce, who we talked about earlier, that's Bruce's deal. He wants to make more money to help donate. It's part of his deal. Buy better bourbon, Jay. I like that. I just got 4 bottles of Angel's Envy Ryan this morning I'm pretty excited about. Roy, travel, get out of debt. Edward, you say, replace my salary, Dan. Travel anytime, anywhere. Gerald, help the wife walk in with home care. I love it, Dan. God bless you, man. I hope that works out. Quit your day job, Trish. Mary Jane, less stress, travel more, grow retirement fund, pay off student loans, too. Yeah, I know that's a big plague. I feel like I graduated college, right around the early 2000s. So I feel like I got really lucky when I went to college before it didn't get affordable anymore. Student loan. Yeah, Juan, I hear you on that one, too. All right. So, good ideas. We said before that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure that you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you want to be the gambler or the casino. Now remember, the house always wins in the end. Being that option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month and allow you to do it more safely with a higher probability of success than simply buying and selling stocks. Now, we talked earlier about that bulletproof system. Let's put it together. I want to show you how you can have that system, that you can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day. And why is this important? One of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? You're probably working full time. Maybe you're not retired yet. There's a good challenge there. There's thousands of stocks out there, and you've got to find out how to pick the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? The expiration, the price. What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out with profits? And a lot of people feel like it's trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. It takes a lot of time because you're spending countless hours researching trades. You go from guru to guru looking for advice. Ultimately, you're trading blindly, right? It's like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into walls. You don't know what to do. It's stressful. It's disheartening. What we all want is we want to get our income fast, right? Reliable, good returns quickly. With the right system, you can do it. So what goes into a good system? Let's talk about that. You need a straight line system, a good way, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, and how to set them up and manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the Paycheck system and the order they should go in. Now, listen, no one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce, right? I show you everything to put this together, right? This is not a course to just say, this is how you pick an option to sell. No, 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 no. This is going to teach you everything that you need to know, all right? There's 6 pieces. The top 5 build on each other, and then that 6th ties them all together. First is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and they just go out and place trades. Instead, you're going to be placing trades in either a bullish direction, a bearish direction, or neutral. And it's going to depend on which way the overall market goes. Because there's been a lot of statistics out there that say as the market goes, most stocks go. So we want to match stocks with the market trend. So first we got to figure out what that market trend is. Because then what we can do is find our stocks. We match the stock with the market direction because that increases the probability of success. Now, it's just not trading stocks you know or listening to CNBC. I'm not saying they have bad intentions, but you got to do the work yourself. We want to find good stocks in uptrends when the market is rising or bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, our Paycheck system saves a lot of time in 2 ways. We look at 2 main things. We look at fundamentals and we look at trend direction. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest software, which we use instead of digging through all that data that the institutions throw at you. So we're going to teach you how to find the right stocks. Then we have to find the ones that have the best options for this. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had, right? We want to find those options with high volatility, but we don't stop there. We want to take more risk out of the trade by seeing earnings. Earnings can make the stock go in crazy ways, right? So we want to filter out earnings events that are coming. We look at the right expiration to get that time decay in our right window. Now, there's a lot of tools out there that can help. Brokers have great platforms. I happen to use a proprietary tool which helps me funnel these down in a matter of seconds. Then we have to set up our trade. We pick the ones that have a high probability of success. How do we determine our probability? By the strike prices that we use. But one big thing, and we kind of focused on this a little bit, we also have to filter our trades by risk and reward. There are going to be some trades that you look at that will be like, oh my gosh, I really want to take advantage of this. But it might be a trade, and the cool thing is, you know this up front. You might have a trade where you can make $1,000, but you may have to risk $6,000 to do it. That is a trade that we would never take. You cannot take trades that would wipe out a bunch of winners. That's a very crucial setup and step for this. Now, once that trade comes together, we need to learn how to manage it. Okay? Manage it how? Well, we need to know what happens or what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. Where do we take profits if the trade goes for us? Where can we repair a trade if it goes against us? We don't have to, but I can show you a repair technique that can help you mitigate loss. And also, where do we exit a trade if it goes against us and we take that loss? We need to know exactly what to do no matter what the trade does. And then finally, kind of putting it all together, a tool for speed and efficiency. Now, there's a lot of tools out there. We've designed a tool that does this very, very quickly. It's not mandatory, but it does give you a tool for great speed and efficiency. Now, earlier we talked about Mike, Jim, Bruce. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that worked and was efficient. He wanted that proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have the proper work-life balance. Are you like that? You spend way too much time on doing things that you don't want to do and not enough time on doing things that you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options Paycheck system, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over 26 grand in 4 months. So let's do this. Take out your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're good. Don't write on your monitors, by the way. Put a little star by parts of this system where you're good. If you have a quick way of finding stocks that are likely to go in the direction of the market, that's a star. If you don't know how to set up an option trade, that's a frown. Don't overthink it. I want you to take about 10-15 seconds and give yourself some stars or frowns. I'm going to take a quick drink. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Now, I want you to share with me. Type into the chat window, where do you need to work on? What areas do you guys see that you need to work on? When I say guys, I mean it inclusive, guys, ladies, and everybody in between. Okay? Exiting the trades, Robert, you said. Trade management, Ants, you said. Dan, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Trade setup, Juan. Sam, stock selection. Robert, trade selection, underlying. Patience, oh, that's a good one too. Stock finder, Robert. Stephanie, a lot of Roberts today. Exiting trades, Stephanie. Mary Jane, you said I'm new, I need to learn. Well, I like working with new traders, by the way, too, because I can teach you how to do this right from the start, so you don't have to go through that struggle that I did. And a lot of other people did too. Managing trades and probably everything else, Rebecca. Trade management, Gordon. Shirish, you had essential option selection. Trade management, Trish. Selection, Gerald. All right. The bottom line here is this. We need to get it to where you have stars all the way down. Because once you do that, you'll be able to generate income. And again, you're going to be able to do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses here. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you're trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It's leaving you with inconsistent results. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exactly exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today I showed you the secret to fix that. It's a secret that I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. That you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And you saw the system to help you generate consistent income every month. I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use this system every day so they never have to worry about that retirement ever again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to the casino. Remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this. That means there's 99 other investors out there who are going to do things wrong. They'll be buying options and making all those mistakes we talked about. Now, we can't stop them from doing it, right? There's always going to be investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. And as long as they're out there, the casino has a place. Remember that old saying, the house always wins? We're going to become the house. The paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability and success in your favor. Just like Brian did. Or like Bruce did. Or Bob. Jim, inconsistent to reliable, 21 winners in a row. Hugh has more confidence, more free time, able to have more fun and made 26 grand in 4 months. Or John, who grew his IRA over 112% and enjoyed an 85% win rate. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement the paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you have a choice, right? You got a choice. Number one, you can do nothing. Stay where you are. If you already have enough to retire, you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system, right? But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with 2 other options. The second thing is you can try to do it alone. Try to learn how the option trades work, kind of like Mike did. Try to figure out the direction, learn to analyze the stocks, find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. Listen, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Well, I personally like option 3, the path of least resistance, I call it. Let me show you how to do it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So think, out of those 3 options, which is going to be the easiest for you if you want to implement this? Now, there's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never really take action or do anything to make it happen, aka me in my 20s. Person number 2, you're serious about your financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. Now, since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet that you're person number 2, and that makes you really the perfect candidate for Options Paycheck to get that first paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. First and foremost is our Option Paycheck system. It is a complete A to Z system that's designed to teach you everything so you can generate consistent income. Our clients who've taken this course over the long haul are averaging 3% per month. Some guys who are a little more active, like Bruce out there, he's going anywhere from 5 to 15% with that high 70+% success rate. And it's taking them less than an hour per week. Now, earlier I showed you that 6-step system. We are going to teach you that in a 7-module course. We're going to start by building a strong option foundation so you know exactly how calls and puts work to use them in your trades. Modules 2 and 3, we're going to show you how to create income trades for bullish, bearish, and neutral markets that have a 70% or better success rate. Module 4, we're going to teach you how to find the right stocks and indexes for this, so you'll know how to set up your trades. Module 5, we're going to focus on maximizing the trade, talking about things like volatility and earnings and probabilities and risk and rewards and all that kind of stuff, right? That's why we call it the maximizer. Module 6 is all about managing. No more deer in the headlights in trading. You're going to learn how to exit your trades with a loss, exit your trades with a gain, repair, how many contracts to trade for your account size, all that kind of stuff in the trade management. And then in number 7, we're going to teach you how to place the trades. We're going to go through some brokerage examples, showing you what to look for in each individual brokerage. Okay? We put it all together into a checklist for you. Now, a lot of folks, when they first get started with something like this, they find checklists very, very easy to use. That way, they don't miss a step, right? So we put everything that you're supposed to do in a checklist for you. Now, before I talk about the price of the course, I want to make this even more low risk. I offer a 100% money-back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied, you can get your money back. It's completely no risk. There is one caveat. You got to do the work, because we know if you do the work, you'll see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. Now, what do I mean by doing the work? It means you have to actually view the classes. You have to actually come in there, do the assignments, make sure you're giving it a chance. If you've done all that and you're still not satisfied, I will give you a refund. I make it a little bit tighter like that because I really want to only draw people that are really interested and want to do this with me. When you do this system, you'll be learning the system that generates 3% per month, and that can be 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. I got an email from in late 2020 from one of my clients, Joe. Now, think about when he sent this. He sent this in late 2020. The coronavirus year was a very challenging year to trade. But he had said that he kept a journal of all his trades. He took the class in fall of 2019. Now, I will tell you this, Joe does a lot more trading than I do. He took 350 trades in that 10 months. I usually only take about 120 to 150 trades a year. I'm a little bit more casual with my approach. He had a 68% winning rate, and he profited over $100,000 in that time. What's even more exciting is that he's learning more and more, and he's really honing in on his risk reward. He said he's profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. His success rate has been 78% over that last 6 weeks, and over his last 100 trades, he only takes trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, if I went back to the fall of 2019 and said, hey, Joe, I'll give you $100,000 if you give me $2,000, think you would take that trade? Would you take advantage of it? Well, I'll be making you an even better offer than that, as you'll soon see. Now, before I tell you any more about it, I need to point something out here. It's important that you understand this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious, requires a little bit of effort on your part. So if you can't commit to it, then don't do it right now. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put some time in to learn the system. So if you're really serious about this and really ready to do the work and get the results, the Option Paycheck course is perfect for you. You're going to get the entire course delivered live to you every week, plus you'll get each recorded session. So if you can't view the live, well, it's no big deal. We record everything for you. That has a value of $1,990. Now, I'm also going to throw in some bonuses. If you're worried that all of that might be too much, I'm going to take at the end of this thing and narrow this thing down to something we call the SPX Paycheck. It's where I take the entire course and boil it down into something you can do in 15 minutes a week. One trade type with one ticker symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. Most of the trades that I did in 2019 or 20 that were very successful during that coronavirus sell-off, I did a lot of S&P 500 trading. All right. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do the trades. For a lot of my students, this is the only system that they use for right now while they're working. Here's an example. Kathy, she's doing our income course. She took this trade. This is back from October 13th, so really only like 7 days ago, right? 42 bull bear call spread this week. In at 440, out at 215. Thanks, Ron. Another profitable week. Here's what I won from Sherry. My 50% profit from yesterday. Woohoo, that was from October 12th. I think I'm getting this stuff. Here's Alan. This is from September 30th. Thanks for the 5,500 and week's not over. Right? He made $5,500 in a span of 3 days using that SPX system. Okay? It's good stuff. Now, I'm also going to give you what's called 7 mastery support sessions, and these are very critical. Every week, we're going to be there to help you implement and guide you through the process. It's a good review session. But if you can't make those sessions, again, it's no problem. Submit your questions ahead of time. We'll send you a recording. We also have set up a private Facebook community. It's dedicated to people who are going through the course. Plus, we give you an additional 12 months of support from me after the course ends. I show up live every month into our Facebook community and do a Q&A to make sure you're still on track. I'm going to give you 7 weeks access to my members only group coaching program. You know, earlier I showed you Tesla and Goldman Sachs. In those members only coaching is where I found those trades and took them. I do that every Monday, and I do trades live with my students. So you're going to see in real time how we actually put this to work. Now, these are sessions where you're going to see again in real time how we set up the trade. All right. Those are kind of the examples I showed you today. I'm also going to give you 7 weeks access to the software I use, VectorVest and Options Pro. So if you don't have either of those tools, we'll make sure you have access to them whatever you need during the course. Now, earlier I mentioned the last part is that tool. That's where the VectorVest and Options Pro come in. VectorVest scans the market to find the stocks. Options Pro does the options analysis quick. Combined, these are normally $591, but during the course, if you don't have access to them, we'll give you access. Now, don't get too caught up in software. You don't need these pieces of software to necessarily do the trading, but it just makes it faster and more efficient. The last bonus, but definitely not least, is you're going to get access to our Options Foundation course. For those of you that are new to options trading, or maybe you just want to brush up on your core options knowledge, this will teach you the core trades of buying calls and selling calls and buying puts and selling puts. It's a good basic course just to get your feet wet before the Paycheck course officially begins. That way you can hit the ground running. Plus, you'll get this thing right away, so you can start doing this as early as tomorrow. In fact, a couple of our previous students that were in Paycheck that did the foundation course said, hey, I just took the tips course and the bonus foundation course and I made my first 7 option trades. 5 winners and 2 losers. Bobby, more excited for the course today. Did a real money trade with the SPX and closed and paid for half the course fee. Right? So let me summarize what you're going to get. The full options Paycheck training course taught live, plus 1 year access to the course materials. The SPX Paycheck. The 7 live mastery sessions, my weekly group coaching with trade recommendations. If you don't currently have VectorVest and Options Pro, we'll give them to you for the 7 weeks of the live course. That just makes it simpler to find and set up and manage your trades. That private Facebook group and 12 months of Q&A, and that Options Foundation course. You add all that up, and it's over $6,800. But what I'm going to do is roll up my sleeves. I'm going to work with a couple of hundred people. Even if you've never had success with options before, we're going to put this together for you. Now, you've spent an hour with me today, so if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and help you install this income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $6,000, the early bird price for this course is only $995. Okay? If you go to www.optionspaycheck.com, there's a big orange register button in the corner. You hit register, and you can sign up for it. Now, while you're doing that, or you're thinking about it, let me entice it a little bit further. I want to pay you for this hour that you've spent with me. So if you order before the end of today's webinar, we have a Q&A session coming as well, so we still have some time left, okay, for Q&A. I'll knock another $100 off, and you can get it for $8.95. That way I paid you $100 for the last hour. You get the full course, 1 year of access to the course, 7 mastery support sessions, the software, the bonus module, all that stuff for $8.95. Now remember that $8.95, that's the lowest price that you will pay for this course unless you've taken it before. We do have a special retake price too if you're interested in retaking the course. Go to www.optionspaycheck.com and click on register. And I want you to think, how much is it costing you not to do this? How much money will you lose by trying to do this by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on, right? How much time and energy are you going to spend to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it worked? You know, there's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. The second best time is today. It's not too late. Don't be sitting there in 20 years saying, dang, I wish I would have planted that oak tree. Plant it now. This is one of those deciding days. Will it be the day you took action and set yourself up for that secure retirement? Or it will be the day you look back and say, dang, I should have started it right then to create that consistent income. So I hope you don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss the opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in class. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Get yourself registered now before registration closes. That $8.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. It is even lower than our elite pricing. So if you've never taken the Paycheck course before and you want that lowest price, go now to www.optionspaycheck.com. After the webinar, it raises to $9.95. So don't wait or you're going to miss out. www.optionspaycheck.com. Fill in your details. Now, if this is right for you and you know it, you're joining me, you're at that site right now, do me a favor. Give me a shout out in the chat box and say, I'm in. I just would love to welcome you to the class by name and, let you know what's coming next. Now, speaking of that, let me also talk about this real quick. I did mention before when there's live sessions and what can happen if you miss one. Well, let me give you the course calendar real quick here. The live sessions start on Thursday, November 4th. Okay? Thursday, November 4th. So you got a little over 2 weeks, 15 days before the live curriculum starts. Thursday at 4:30 Eastern Time, we do the live Module 1. Then on Wednesday or Tuesday, the 9th of November, and you can see the following Tuesdays into December, those are your remaining live modules, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you cannot view the live modules, do not worry about it because all the content is recorded for you. Now, the mastery sessions, those actually start on Monday the 8th, and the whole purpose of a mastery session is this. We do the live session, then we do a mastery session as kind of a give you a couple days to kind of let this information settle, then we review it with you, answer questions, walk you through assignments, tests, things like that. So we do review sessions, basically. We call them mastery sessions. Those are at noon Eastern Time. All right? And then you can kind of see we switch them over to Friday for the remainder of the course. So Mastery 1, Mastery 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right? Now, how is the course? Well, Bruce had a great comment here. I now feel confident to start placing trades. I know exactly how to monitor and adjust them, and it's exactly what I wanted. And this is why I love Bruce's comment. I would absolutely recommend this course. It was designed in a very orderly and clear manner. It might be the best step-by-step course I've ever seen, and I've been teaching investing concepts for 35 years, so I think I'm a good judge. You had a really good team put this course together. Somebody with a vast amount of options information and a prior school teacher who knows how to teach. So combined, we have joined our forces to put together a good class. Now, another question you might ask yourself is, well, how much options experience do I need? Well, guess what? We've polled our previous students, and they've said 83% of the course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. That's pretty cool, right? 83% of our graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. Now, because of that 17%, we've actually added the options foundation. That way we cover the rest of you. So again, order before the end of the webinar. www.optionspaycheck.com. There's a big orange button in the corner. Click on register. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in my colleague, Brian. Brian's the one who taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time. And we're going to kind of cover Brian's going to tell you what's coming to you, what's going to happen next. And then we're going to talk about some Q&A, the questions that might have popped up through the class. So, Brian, are you standing by?
I could stand if you want me to, but currently I'm sitting.
You can sit. I'm sitting too. It's only fair.
So we've got a lot of excitement in the chat here, Ron. We got a bunch of people saying I'm in. Name a few. We got Theo, we got Steven, we got Corey, we got Andy, we got Bill. So welcome to all of you. You should be getting an email from us immediately. So check your junk or your spam folder. If you don't see it in your inbox, please check for it, because that has so much information in it. So once you join, you'll have links to hop into the session. The directions will be in there. It'll show you how to get into the course. You'll also see that extra bonus course, that Options Foundation course that Ron mentioned. You're also going to get a link if you want to join the Facebook group. That's in there as well. And by the way, like Ron said, you could just create a fake name. If you hate Facebook, I'm not a big fan of Facebook either, but if you want to, you can create a separate Facebook account, away from your personal account, and, just create a fake name. Just as long as you tell us who you are, we can let you in. So it'll have all the dates, all the times. Check for that email. So welcome aboard to all of you. And a side note, there were some people in the chat box, Ron, asking for that checklist. Those of you who are asking for the checklist, I put a PDF into the handouts area. It's multiple pages. There's like page 7 or something at the end that has a checklist in it, where you can print when you print it out, or you could just save the PDF. You could actually check the boxes, but it's got a lot of great information in that PDF as well. So check the handouts area if you wanted that PDF checklist. And thank you for sticking to the end. And and Ron, you actually covered a lot of the questions when you were at the end there, when you put up the calendar and people were asking about the dates and the time. So I appreciate you doing that. Mm-hmm. We have actually a bunch of people who have taken the course, because we've had this course for a while now. People are like, oh man, I've taken this course a while ago. Can I take it again? And we do allow that, right, Ron? We allow retakers.
We do.
So if you've taken the class before, we would have sent you an email with a link with a special refresher rate. It's like half off. It's like $4.95 or so. But check it for a link in your email or call our office, and we could help you out with that.
And a lot of people always say, why would I want to retake the course? The biggest thing that people retake the course for is because they get kind of re-entered into our coaching classes again. They love the coaching classes, and it gives them a refresh and, kind of gets them back in gear too. So a lot of people do like to retake it.
Yep. And AJ, if you're looking for the PDF, right above where you're typing to us, there should be an area that says handouts. Just look for that. It's in GoToWebinar. It's a PDF. You just click on the handouts area and you can download it. All right. And AJ says, thanks, I got it. Awesome. Andy wants to know if you could show that calendar one more time.
Absolutely.
So we could check his schedule.
Give me 1 second. Oops, that's the wrong button. Take me a second here and then I can get to it. There we go. And there it is. So there's the live course modules. Those are the ones where we teach, module 1 and 2 and everything. Starts on Thursday, November 4th, and they're all at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So class number 1 is on a Thursday, and then the remaining classes throughout the course move to Tuesday at 4:30, all through December 14th. And then our mastery sessions are on typically Fridays at noon. The first one is actually Monday, November 8th at noon. And then for the remainder of them, they switch to Friday at noon. I do those, by the way, at noon because I'd like to use real-time market data when it's appropriate. So, and again, it's one of those things where people say, Ron, that's during the workday. There's really no time that you can select that's good for everyone. You know what I mean? So there's always going to have to be a compromise in there.
All right, so we have 2 great follow-up questions to those dates and times that you showed. I'm going to start with James, and then I'll go down to Stephanie. James is an airline pilot. So James says, I'm in. However, I'm an airline pilot. Do you send us a recording of the live sessions?
Yes and no. The answer is yes to pretty much every live session. So you'll get a recording of the mastery session, my trade recommendation class. actual live module, we keep what's called a master recording there. So you can go view that anytime you want to. It usually takes us a while to get the videos edited to get them out to you as a recording. So what we want to make sure we do is we have at least the master recording out there. So yes, you'll get, all of the, the Q&As, the mastery, all those will be recorded and sent to you or put on our university site. And then we have a master copy of the module that you can just go access.
All right. And then Stephanie's question is, about how long are the classes?
They are anywhere from about 60 to 90 minutes. When you do everything for the week, if you put aside about 3 to 4 hours a week, you will be able to get through all of the material. So it's not a huge time commitment while you're learning it, maybe 3 to 4 hours a week to kind of do the classes if they run a little bit later, and then do the assignments and kind of work through some examples. We're very big on implementing. So as we teach you, we want you to start working that stuff right away and start looking for the stuff in your broker and the software. We want you to start using it right away.
All right. And can somebody be successful even if let's say they can't attend some or all the live classes? Can they still be successful?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we'd have to probably run statistics on this, but I'm going to venture to say that probably about 30% of our course attendees may only come to 1 or 2 live events, but they stay focused, they stay tuned. They email us questions, they're asking questions on Facebook, they're sending emails and things like that. So, I'd say a good 30% of our class probably only attends maybe 1 or 2 live sessions during the course of the 7 weeks. So, yeah, absolutely, we got you covered.
All right. And Andy wanted to know what time classes start, and I think we actually had that on that slide just a moment ago. So Andy, we'll put it up there one more time.
Okay.
We might put it up there again, but
yeah. 4:30 is when the module classes start, so 4:30 Eastern time. Again, the first one is November 4th, Thursday, and then for the remainder, it goes to the Tuesday at 4:30 all the way through December 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then the mastery sessions, where the first one was at Monday, November 8th at noon, and then they switched to Friday at noon for the remainder of the class.
All right, so we got some great questions coming up from Barry, Gordon, Donald. So, pardon me. So Donald, great question. He says, can I get all the info right now, or do I have to wait for the live sessions?
No, you don't have to wait for the live sessions. We actually have, it's kind of a mix, right? So I mentioned that all the modules, we have like a master recording. You can go, as soon as this becomes active for you and you sign up, you can go watch all 7 modules. We have recordings from our prior options paycheck class in there, so you could actually watch a recording of the mastery session I did, 2 months ago. So you actually would have in your university site a full options paycheck course that we just, as we go through the weeks, we re-upload the new classes as we go forward. So no, it becomes active for you, right off the bat.
All right, so we had a few more people say I'm in. Pierre G, EH. It doesn't show your first name. Welcome to the class. And if you're in and I missed your name, we had a flurry there and then a bunch of questions, just type in the chat box. Just say, hey, I'm in. That way we could welcome you by name. Just before I get to Barry's question and Gordon's question, just a quick reminder, this discounted rate, this $8.95 rate, is only available while we are live. Right, so it'll go away shortly after we shut things down, and then it'll go back up to $9.95. All right, so the $8.95 is actually lower than our elite pricing here at VectorVest. The $9.95, it'll be $9.95 for about a week or so, and then registration closes that first week in November. And we only open up registration a few times a year. Like it's not often that we run this as a live class. So time is of the essence if you want to get yourself ready for 2022, because this class will run for the final 2 months of this year, and then you will be ready come January, probably even the tail end of this year. Ron will have taught you enough that you could be ready and be placing some trades, especially if you go ahead and watch the recordings that are available. But if you definitely want to be ready for 2022, this would be the class to hop in on.
This is definitely the last class we're going to do this year.
Yeah, definitely. So Stephanie says I'm in. Dale says I'm in for a refresher. Paul says I'm in for a retake. Jessica says I'm in. Juan says I am in. And then there's it looks like I'm gonna actually, Juan, since you're in Canada, I'm gonna swing all the way back over to Barry's question. Barry says, how does this work for other markets? Like, I'm in Canada, so how does this work for Canadian markets?
It works ultimately the same. Everything that we teach you in the class is applicable to options all over the world. They all have measures of probability. They all have expirations. All that stuff is the same. A lot of our Canadian clients, they do tend to focus more on U.S. stocks and the U.S. options market, mainly because there's a lot more liquidity in the U.S., but there are a handful of stocks, there are quite a handful of stocks in Canada that have options liquidity as well that you can do them on. So you can do this whether you're in the UK, Australia, Canada. We're going to teach it as a U.S. option. However, like I said, the analytics we use are applicable to anywhere in the world.
All right. So next up, we've got, before I get to you, Gordon, I'm going to go down to Donald. Donald, you bring up a great point. When Donald is going to optionspaycheck.com, and he says, it says a $9.95 price. Remember that $8.95 is available while we're talking. So if you click the register button, you'll notice it brings you to a page where we temporarily drop the price to $8.95. So you've got to click register, and it'll bring you to a page just like Ron's showing you right there. If on optionspaycheck.com, you see there's a big register button. When you click that, you should notice that after it loads, it says $8.95. But once we're done, once we contact our team in the background, letting them know that the live session is over, usually takes a few minutes, but then they'll switch that back over to the $9.95. All right. So a few more I'm-ins, Ron. We got, I'm not sure if I mentioned Dale and Jessica. Juan, Trish says I'm in. Rob just typed in, I'm in. Barry says I'm in. I just registered. Corey says I'm in. He says, and I want to address this. Corey, some people think we wouldn't read these out loud, but Corey's like, I'm apprehensive, Ron. I'm in, but I'm apprehensive. And he says, I spent a lot of money on quality big name courses and would rather have had that money to invest now. And I'll have you address that in just a second, Ron. But Corey, if you go to optionspaycheck.com, I think there's a couple of the testimonials on there from people who have said that they've spent like $30,000 over the course of their lifetime on courses, and this is like the best one that they've ever taken. All right. So, but Ron, what would you say to Corey that maybe to maybe set him at ease or to give him some more confidence, saying he's apprehensive, but what would you say?
Well, I would definitely say that the biggest thing that's on your back would be our return policy, our refund policy. The one thing that you always have to protect you is if you don't think at the end it was worth it, we can always refund you. Now, the second thing is this. You will have to take my word for it. I've actually looked at a lot of other options softwares and a lot of options classes, and honestly, I'm aghast at how much they charge for how much little information. This is the one class that I know that really does cover every single aspect of options trading, everything you need to know, even finding the stocks and vetting technical things and things like that. So I think this is going to be a very good value to you. And as always, you do have, I'm putting my money where my mouth is in this point. If you don't agree with me, I will at the end refund you. I don't want you guys to have, whether you like it or don't, I don't want you to ever have a bad taste and say, I think they got me. I will make it right.
All right. And Gordon, you're asking, hey, do we have any stats on overall success rate of your students? Well, that would require, you can imagine it would, number one, require that we get into the financials of all of our students, which hopefully, I don't know how private you are, but financial situations can be very private. So we're not going to dive in. But what we get, as you saw in today's session, we get a ton of positive feedback and testimonials from people who want to share their results. So we're not going to go out and just reach out and say, how much money are you making? But there's a lot of success. We have a very thriving alumni group for this course, as Ron mentioned when he was telling you how you could order. After you're done with the class, we'll have you join that Facebook group, and you can interact with, I think it's over a couple thousand people now in that group of people who've taken the class, and talk to them. And they're talking about their trades that they're doing. So just join in with them. But one of the things that we did after the class that just finished earlier this year, we did send out a survey right at the end of the class. And of course, like right at the end of the class, there's probably not a lot of, it's too early to get financial results, Gordon, but it was amazing to see, because we asked them, what kind of changes have you seen after taking this class? And it was overwhelming, the number of people who had said how much more confidence that they have in placing these income trades and option trades. And so that is a big one. But hopefully some people would get tired of all the testimonials that we would show during this, because we want to let you know, hey, this isn't just something that we think might work. People are getting results. All right, so let me move on down, Ron. Ron, if you could, is there that page you could show that link again? On I think it.
Yeah.
If you'll see, that's www. There it is, optionspaycheck.com. And like we said a moment ago, you'll notice when you guys go to that page, it'll say $9.95, but if you click the register button, it'll show the $8.95 rate. All right. Michael just said I'm in. Wei says I have registered and paid. So welcome to both of you. And as a quick reminder, before I give Ron the next question, if you're in, check your email, because that email will have all the dates, all the times, all the links, all the directions. Everything that you need is in that email. So please check it out. All right. So let me look in here very quickly. Juan. All right. So going back to your question, Ron, I'm going to ask Juan and Ron. Juan is in Canada, and now he's doing trading in his RRSP account. I don't believe in Canada that you'll be able to do these in that account, Juan.
Correct.
But Ron, I'm going to transition that over to the U.S. retirement accounts. Can people do these trades in a retirement account, like here in the U.S.?
Most people that I have come across can. I would always check with your broker. Most of the IRAs can do this type of trade because it is limited risk and it's a fixed risk. So it's not like you're, doing weird option sells and things like that. Most of them can. But as always, you always come across one or two that said, I tried to do this in my IRA and I can't do it. The majority of people, then like even we had an example in there who was doing it in their IRA. The majority of IRAs can support this, but I would always encourage you to verify that with your broker just to make sure.
All right. Let's see. We did have another gentleman say I'm in, but it doesn't show your name for some reason. Maybe you're on a mobile device. It just says investor. So welcome. It says I'm in. And yes, Dan, you're right. You have to be approved to do the options trading. If you call your broker, they'll help you get that set up. We work with Ally Financial, and a gentleman there, he says, hey, tell people to call us, and which basically means call your broker and explain. And if you don't have it set up yet, he's like, we will help them get it set up. So call your broker. Okay. All right. So let's see. It just says pirate. It says great. Keep me informed. Thanks for being here. Great. All right. So Ron, and last couple of questions is, how long before somebody might start to see results after going through the course?
It always, it depends on how quick you are to go through the modules and how to get it. But I usually say the vast majority of people, they can really start putting this together by week 6 or 7 and start, once they get past the brokerage platform to kind of understand how to put this together. I think most people really right after the course can start implementing this. Now, I will tell you this, remember, we're looking for trades, and over the last 15 years, we're at about 70% success rate, okay? But you also have to understand that during 70%, that doesn't mean that you're going all like this, right? Remember that example I gave you from, I think it was Barry, I think his name was. But remember how he had wins, and he had some losses and some drawdowns, and then like this, and like this, and like this. There's a certain timing element to it. So when you finish the course, who knows? Your first 3 months of trading, or your first month of trading might be something like this. And then it kind of comes back around. This last class that did the options paycheck, they kind of caught a nice run here towards the end of the trend. So you're going to be ready to put this thing in order right off the bat. You should start being able to get trading right away because we give you all the steps. As far as results, I would say you should start seeing results in the first 60 days. Even if you start with a little bit of a downturn because the market's kind of in a transition period or something, you should start seeing results in the first 60 days easily.
All right. And Pirate says, Ron, about how much percentage should you do on your trades? Like, I think he's right. There was another question earlier about how much should somebody risk of their trading account on these trades? Are they going all in, like one trade, or like how much should they dedicate to this? Is another question, I guess.
Okay, we're a 2% people, I should say. We only risk about 2% of our capital on any given trade, and that's completely optional. Some people do 1%, 1.2%. Remember, I said this is not a get-rich-quick scheme? It's not. So we're very, very conservative by trying to get that 3%. So we only generally risk no more than 2% of our capital on any given trade. Now, you can have 4 or 5 trades on at the same time, 6 or 7 if you want to, but if one trade goes against you, it should not cost you more than 2% of your capital. And we talk all about that in Module 6.
And Don wants to know, do you trade bear markets or only bull markets?
We trade them all, bull, bear, and neutral.
All right. And next up, I'm hesitant on this one because it was some feedback we got recently, but let's first answer it and then we could discuss it. Like, Ron, how much? Actually, Pirate just asked this question. Is like, about what size account does somebody need to do these types of trades? And, is there an ideal amount that you would say?
Right. Now, I agree with you, Brian. Here's the deal. If you open up an account with $5,000, you can basically do this. But I also want you to be realistic, okay? Because in the past, we've had people, Ron, you said $5,000, but that's unrealistic. No, it's not unrealistic. It's perfectly acceptable. But you have to understand, our goal is to make 3% per month. So if you have a $5,000 account, you're probably only going to be taking 2 or 3 trades a month, shooting for $150 to maybe $200 a month in income, right? I'm not having you risk all of your account on one trade to make $1,500. That's not what we're doing here, all right? Now, what I would say would be a minimum ideal amount is probably about $25,000. Because $25,000 is going to let you kind of expand a little bit. You can trade an S&P. You can trade a couple of stocks at a time. Then you're going to start getting into where you can make $400 or $500 a month, hopefully. So you can start with as little as $5,000. Just understand you're probably going to be trading one stock at a time or one of the S&P 500 trades. You're not going to be able to branch out very much, but you will be able to start seeing results. But, if people would ask me, Ron, what do you think would be a good minimum? 25,000 is probably a little bit better because, again, you can kind of branch out and do more, and there's more opportunities out there for you.
Yep. And yet you attack it with the right attitude, too. We had one of the testimonials that we received, we were surprised. We spent a lot of time talking to him on the phone. He was so pumped up about the results he was getting, and he was basically trading a $5,000 account. I think he had 3 $5,000 accounts where he was doing it, and he was seeing results, and he had been doing it for several months. So attack it with the right attitude. That you're like, this is an investment, of course. Like $8.95 is an investment, and it's a long-term game that you're getting into. Right? It's not just like Ron, you said, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme where, hey, I'm going to make a lot of money in the next couple of months. This is, hey, I'm going to invest in this. This is going to teach me an income system that I could use for the rest of my life, and maybe even pass on this knowledge to my children. All right. Let's see. David, John's going to help you out in the chat, but also David, and this goes for anybody. If you have any questions or need any help, whether it be now or after today's webinar, call our office. Our office, we've got great consultants here, customer service team. They are U.S. based here in North Carolina on the East Coast of the U.S. So give our team a call. I'll actually put our phone number in the chat box for you, 888-658-7638. All right. Well, with that, Ron, I'm looking, and I think this is a fair enough spot to where we can start to wrap things up. So I'm going to say, hey, welcome everybody. We are always so pumped to get this going because we see how much it changes people's lives. Welcome to the class if you're in. if you're thinking about it, give us what your question is, or call us. Let us know. Just quick reminder: the $8.95 will go away shortly. It'll go back up to $9.95. And if you have questions, let us know. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you in class. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ron Wheeler so he can wrap things up for the night.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, John, in the background, and Todd as well, who joined us for questions. Thank you guys again for attending here for the last hour and 40 minutes. I'm looking very much forward to seeing you all the first week of November to kind of kick this off. It's always an exciting time for me because I do love teaching. I do love these options trades. It's kind of my life, if you will. So thanks once again for spending this last hour and 40 minutes with me. I appreciate it. I wish all of you the best of success in the remainder of 2021. Stay safe in 2022 as well. But we'll see all of you in November for class number 1. And take care, everybody. Have a good one.